Good afternoon. In today's In the Meantime, I'm titling this Everything is Up for Grabs. The Camp Fire in Northern California in 2018 was the deadliest and most destructive fire in the history of the state. Residents of the town of Paradise reported disorientation when they returned to examine the remains of their house or their homes. With no familiar landmarks, many people could not even find their former home sites. They were disoriented and often bewildered by the experience. Society today is veering in that direction. The roles and responsibilities of police are being questioned and reconsidered. Police departments are being disbanded. The military is being employed in frightening ways. Older people engaged in peaceful protest are being shoved to the ground and left to bleed. Is this the same country we lived in 5 years ago? Everybody is wearing masks, or they should be. Crazy people are ranting about COVID-19 being a government conspiracy. We must stand 6 feet apart. Familiar ball games, beach, movies, and so forth, they're all off limits. I am beginning to feel like a resident of Paradise coming back to inspect the burned out rubble of my house. The things in our country have changed so much and so fast, it's hard to find any landmarks. Even church is totally different now. It seems as if everything is up for grabs these days. We're confronting the yin and yang of crisis and opportunity. We have a unique opportunity to question everything, reconsider and reconfigure. Our schools, businesses, and church buildings, the buildings may be unchanged, but now how we use them is an open question. For example, for schools, what is the optimal use of distance learning to educate children? How does that vary by grade level, sex, culture, urban-rural split, and other factors? How do we deal with children who have little or no internet access? What resources are needed for education that combines distance learning at home with in-class experience? For businesses, what is the best environment for creative people? Are 9-to-5 offices helping or hindering creativity? For more routine production and engineering operations, what is the optimal mix of at-home and in-person meetings? Does at-home work function differently for different global cultures? What additional resources are needed for a business to maintain security with a distributed operations model? The list goes on. And getting back to churches, broadly speaking, Christians are to show the love, forgiveness, and mercy of God because Christians have experienced that themselves. I do not believe that the Christian life needs to be focused on going to heaven, avoiding hell, or to put it in business terms, we are not selling fire insurance. If you accept my initial statement of mission, there are 2 categories that must be considered. First of all, how do Christians experience the love, mercy, and forgiveness of God? By living in community, by working together, by worshiping together, by caring for another. Made in the image of God, Christians reveal to one another the same characteristics of God. Where are the best places to do this? How do our traditional practices of church worship and Christian formation help or hinder? What can we do better? These are fundamental questions. The old answers won't work anymore. How will we respond to these questions when we worship 6 feet apart? And when megachurches threaten to destroy the liturgical churches, Methodist, Presbyterian, Catholic, Episcopal, and Lutheran churches with those heretical messages of the prosperity gospel and fire insurance. Secondly, how do we best evangelize and bring the love, mercy, and forgiveness of God to a hurting world? by feeding them, by accepting them, by telling them that they matter and that they are important, by opening the doors of the church wide to bring everyone in. It will be chaotic. We will be scammed and disappointed, I guarantee you. But if one person in 10 turns back to praise God, then we've succeeded. How these questions shape practical things like Sunday worship, Sunday school, the role of sacraments, the role of clergy, the use of church buildings, I cannot tell you right now. No one can. All we know is that we must be attentive to the still small voice. We must pay attention to the movements of the Spirit out there at the margins of our perception. We must be willing and eager to question, change, experiment, fail, and start over again. It won't be easy. It just might be fun and exciting. We will start in-person church this Sunday, June 14th, 2020. I must admit that I am terrified, confused, and excited all at the same time. Most of the residents of Paradise, California, decided not to return and rebuilt their lives elsewhere. And although as a church we will rebuild in the same place, what we develop in terms of worship, outreach, and pastoral care, what we rebuild along those lines at Grace Episcopal Church will very likely be quite different than it was before. Have a great day.